How else would you want this to play out? Really, since the beginning of this industry, it's been about two chains at the top of the mountain. When you talk about the future of payments, it was always going to be these two chains. Did you think it was going to be XRP versus Solana, Cardano, Polkadot? No, you knew the way this would play out and who would do a mortal battle for payment supremacy. Look at this, Joe. You could tell this deal means more to him than most. Look at that smile there. Joe Lubin confirming Swift is building on Ethereum's layer 2 Linea. The network that moves 150 trillion a year is going on chain. Should we be scared of this? Is this a bad thing? What I believe here is that this shows we've been right all along, that the future of payments are blockchain based. And they've been telling us forever, Swift, banks, oh no, this blockchain stuff, this crypto stuff, that's not where it's at. It's, too volatile. Who is conceding to whose worldview? You see Swift now, they're needing to switch. They're trying to go into the future quickly. Remember, this is just now launching. And I think when we look at this, at the end of the day, Ripple isn't trying to integrate with Swift. They are not trying to build the next Swift system. That was never the idea. The idea was always to replace them, to beat them, to be the future of payments leveraging the XRP blockchain. That's what they're trying to do. Of course, they're not going to partner up here. And did you think Swift was just going to sit back and be like, well, I guess we just lose control. Everything we've built over the years, we just give up. There you go, Ripple. Of course, they're not going to do that. They went to the biggest, baddest chain there is today within altcoins, and they are trying to be competitive because they have to. Because this doesn't tell you that what Ripple's doing isn't real, that it doesn't work. If that was the case, they just, they would pass. They'd be like, what we're doing is fine. They see the writing on the wall. And this is fine. This is the way it was always going to play out. And we'll see the system that's been around, that's been tested, that they've been building out for years versus the one that's just now starting their journey, who ultimately wins the scale. And that's perfectly fine. Again, we're going to see here. I think Ripple's going to give them all they can handle. And remember this, for the XRP ledger specifically, it's not just about Swift payments. It's going to be RWAs, global trade, all sorts of stuff, tokenization of assets. And Ripple doesn't have to replace Swift. It could do a lot in payments. It's an ancillary system. It's a competitive system. It doesn't have to be the next Swift for us to have a heck of a lot of success. But I think this move tells us they're on their way, and they're threatening Swift, and Swift is, finally acting here. And again, it was always going to be Ethereum versus XRP ledger for the future of payments. It's not going to be some wackadoo, minor chain. It's not the way it's going to play out here. All right, the next one here, we see Krippenreuter. It says, don't trust verify. This is interesting. So what he did, he purposely made a really bad trade. He tried to sell one XRP for a fraction of an RLUSD. And what happened? He put the order in, and the autonomous system that is the XRP Ledger DEX was like, whoa. That ain't a good deal. Let me get you the best deal. And it settled, gave him 3 RLUSD for his 1 XRP. It got the best market price. It stepped in and said, you made a mistake, or maybe you're not very smart, but here you go. Here's the best deal I can get for you. This is the future. This is the future of finance. Autonomous systems that run 365 days a year. Great, great test there by Krippenreuter. Scam says the following: you will get XRP ETF soon, but I don't think it will change this dynamic. Bill Morgan saying XRP is struggling to stay above $3, even though Bitcoin's reaching new all-time highs. Look, we've been through this. There's an ebb and flow to this. Not worried at all. It wasn't that long ago we were just 50 cents, right? This altcoin space is going to heat up. Look at Ethereum. It hasn't even got romping yet. XRP has more growth ahead of us. I'm not worried at all. And that ETF's going to matter. I don't care what anyone says. And Scams, he's as smart as they get, but he's wrong here. It will matter. It's going to add a lot. It's going to add a lot of inflows. There's going to be a lot of people acquiring this asset through those ETFs that otherwise would not. It is going to make a difference. And it's going to be a significant one. And XRP is going to set new and significant all-time highs before this run is over. It's only a matter of time here. We see Vet saying innovation. Deutsche Bank on public chains. What we need privacy and permissions on top of public networks. This is interesting. First of all, remember, we need privacy, not secrecy. Secrecy is like Monero. No one can see what's going on. Privacy is like, we're going to do chains. The public can't see what you're doing or transactions. But if government needs to, if regulators need to, whatever, they can pierce in there and see, who the people are transacting. That's the difference between privacy and secrecy. We're building these systems out, these capabilities out on the XRP ledger, because you have to have it if you're going to scale up real institutional use cases. And what's interesting, right now what we're seeing, permission DEXs. Great idea. You KYC, you AML. Otherwise, you can't use these permission systems. You can just go to the regular DEX. But if you want to go on BlackRock's system, if you want to go on Bank of America, whoever, you have to go through some procedures to get access. And this, again, is another feature set that's being built out for this reason, because we need this. The problem right now is those permission domains. That's not where the action is. I went over this the other day. BUIDL's probably the biggest permission domain there is, the granddaddy of them all. And it's like $2 or $3 billion, right? And then we look over at Aave, it's like 70 billion. That's where the action is in the decentralized, open, no permission kind of domain. But these systems will build out and scale over time. And the good thing is you can jump out of them and onto the main ledger anytime you want. So this is a big part of the future, and they're building this out for the XRP ledger. Because if you are a bank, you're a financial institution, you have to have this capability, or you just can't use the technology. You can't risk that you're doing transactions with sanctioned countries and all sorts of other bad actors, of course, because you're going to be held accountable. I posted this up as kind of a joke the other day. XRP fell below $3, and I called it the final shakeout. Someone asked me, is this the last one? And, the first time I put up final shakeout, I believe, was January of 2018. And we've had many final shakeouts since then. So, no, I doubt it will be the last one. Ripple Swell coming up. If you're interested, the Zhao founders will be there. Hit them up on X so you can meet up and discuss XRP ledger advancement, Zhao, all of that kind of stuff. We see Good Morning Crypto saying the following. Great account on X. Follow them. But he says Bitcoin's ETF inflows 60 billion since January 1st, 2024. And that ain't going to make a difference. Now, you could be some small, minor, portion of that. You don't have to have a whole 60 billion. But that's going to make a difference. ETFs make a difference. You best believe it. We see this. Government shutdown likely to last longer than a week. So, the longer this goes on, just know we're probably going to have disruptions out there in markets. Hopefully it's over sooner than later, but we just don't know. Lastly, gold blasting through $4,000 for the first time in history. Let me know what you think down below. As always, please like, please subscribe. The revolution will be televised right here on Jungle Link.